Hello guys, welcome back to Writer's Tales. Last Adventurers. So this is the second story, Blacklight. So, skipping from the 1980s, of course, of the Lake District, of course, we end up in a sleepy village, just about, maybe roughly down south, I think it is. It's a fictional village called Martyr upon Hyde, set in 2017. So it's sort of present day, really, to be honest. There's a village fete going on. The residents, of course, are prepping up very nicely, of course, for it's the annual village Sunday fete, really. They're set in the primary school, and just get everything ready, and of course, just have a decent time. Market stores and everything else that sell bits and pieces, cakes as well. So it'll be pretty interesting, pretty good time. But this year, they had a visitor. A pod crash lands outside the village in a field. And in it is the daughter of an alien dictator called Nimtev, I think her name is. She escaped from her whole planet, of course, because there's been a war going on. Multiple alien races have been destroying the homeworld, trying to obtain a deadly superweapon that apparently obliterates a planet's sun, called a Blacklight. And she escaped with it, on the words of her father, just to, escape or be killed, look after this, make sure it isn't in the wrong hands, of course, and she flees. And her planet is destroyed. As she leaves, of course, crash lands on Earth and hides in the primary school, where no one will see her. The protagonists turn up, of course, and they end up in the village, of course. Apparently, they sort of knew about this fate because they see it in a sort of poster of it in England in the 1940s. Apparently, apparently it's advertised on a board somewhere, and they find we should go there, and they just need to pick up a right time and place to go for, really. So they end up in the 2010s, of course. And also there is the members, let's say the, what do you call them? The protagonists of class as well. So chronologically, this is set after The Lost, this is. So trying to escape the governors or whatever. They're basically fugitives, they are, at this point. You have Mateus and Charlie, of course, still there. You have Tanya there as well. You have Ram, who with his robotic prosthetic leg that given by the 12th Doctor, of course, if you've ever seen the show. And you've got Miss Quill, who's still pregnant at this point, and April in Cora Carnes' body still. So it's still carrying on from that story, and they basically escaped Cold Hill School, London, and end up in somewhere in a small sleepy village, of course, just to hide away and make sure the governors won't get them, of course. So they're in hiding, they are, very much. You've also got two alien races, of course, that have appeared in Doctor Who fiction, like in the novels and comics, of course, but never on television, which are the Chelonians and the Selasians, if I pronounce that name right. And they're here to obtain the Blacklight. But of course, they run into each other and cause a bit of an issue. They don't team up or anything. They tend to kill each other, really. So, and this all happens because this, of course, Nimtep's planet is destroyed. She's got the Blacklight, which looks like a, what do you call it? It's just a black 3D. Oh no, it's not a tube. It's a 3D thing. I forgot what we call it. Hexagonal. It's a pretty hexagonal thing. I forgot what it's called now. Someone might correct me down below, really. But it's that thing. It's just a black thing, really. But it looks like something children would play with, like a shape or something. But like a plastic shape. But it's deadly as fuck because it can definitely, again, like I mentioned before, obliterate our planet's sun, but also it can remove light as well. Like from, if you have a sun, of course, the whole place will become in total darkness, and no heat will come as well, so it'll probably turn the whole place cold as well. So That's what the Blacklight is for, really. It's quite surprised, yeah, and yeah, very much. It's a bit strange why that dictator had it in the first place, but it's just there, really. No plot points, however. He says he just obtained it, really. Like he bought it in auction or something. That's really this sort of thing, really. With that sort of explanation how the Blacklight was obtained by Nymphet's father. So the school fate's in jeopardy, of course, with the crossfire between the Trelawneyans and the Slattins, and the last event, the protagonist, of course, last adventures, of course, which is sort of a different of a thing, really. You know, different of a name for the protagonist, of course. They basically team up with the people from class, of course, and he gets reinstated, and obviously stuff happens, of course. Miss Quill goes into labour, of course, and releases a, well, sort of, again, births like a quill, like a baby quill, but ends up being killed soon afterwards, because while that's happening, they're in the primary school, she gives birth, and of course, one of the slashing sort of comes in, of course. Well, a few of them pop in, and one of them gets killed by the baby quill, whatever. You know, I think it's a baby quill hybrid thing, of course, because I forgot the other guy's name. What he was, of course, I forgot what he was then. So. Yeah, and that happens, of course, and they basically just kill it, really, to be honest. It's like, you know, like a demon from hell, of course, has been birthed, of course, and they basically shoot it to death, really. There was also the thing, of course, of you know, trying to get April back to her normal self, really. They do have the body, really. They still kept April's soulless body, of course, which they still kept in a freezer. It's like just a standard freezer you just get like a Curry's PC water or whatever. It's like, okay. You know, that's what it is, and it's sort of keep it there. I think it's one of those little single ones that you keep in garages or something, you know, and they basically keep in there. So there's that thing, of course, of trying to get April back to normal as well, out of the body of Coracanus. So yeah, it's basically a big mixture of whole things, of course, really. You know, you've got the Trelawneyans, which first appeared in the Virgin New Adventures, of course, created by Gav Roberts, of course, they're in the Higher Science, Zampa, and the Well-Mannered War. They also appeared in a few comic strips here and there, and also recently in audio when they adapted the Higher Science and Well-Mannered War as well, with Big Finish. Never appeared on TV. They've been referenced in TV, and I think they might be alluded to be on television, but they never did, unfortunately. Meant to be in Planet of the Dead, but they never were, unfortunately. And the Selections, they are, well, let's think of this. The Trelawneyans are a cybernetic turtle race, very much, and the Selections are a shark race. It's basically shark on legs, really, to be honest. And the alien one was heavy guns and stuff, so it's like, yes, very much that sort of thing. Our wheelhouse. And yeah, really. So this is another story that was written, of course. Blacklight. The title Blacklight comes from a book by Andrew Sclater from 1996 involving his art, of course. I mean, Virgin released in 1996. Obviously, it's one of those stories. This story actually appeared as a fan story to an intended fan series, really, but never came off the ground, really. So, always considered to be the proper introduction story, because, you know, Britain 89 AD is sort of the pilot it is, and this is this whole story that is sort of cements the last adventures first, really. So this is like the first, technically the first proper outing, really, you know, of what to expect, really. You know, you have the pilot and then you have the episode 1, really, but it's actually the second one. It's just like a structure like that, really. But it's just pretty interesting, really, you know, because I always wanted to do a Trelawney story, of course, because I find them fascinating. And the original idea was to put 3 different alien races, new ones. To my knowledge, I can remember the names. There was the Avenal, the Barbians, and the Lon, commonly known as the Lon. They were basically the 3 alien races who basically just go around. You know, we're trying again, same thing. What the Slashins and the Trelawneyans were going to do: shoot each other and trying to obtain a deadly super weapon. And yeah, pretty interesting. And the idea of including class, of course, because I feel like, well, class was alright, really. It was decent, and it only lasted for 8 episodes really. I felt like, what can you do to continue? I know Big Fish have done this, but they're slotted in between said episodes really. Same with the novels, the 3 novels. I really want to see what was after, and this is my interpretation of it really. You know, like, so to shoehorn them in, they're basically shoehorned in, but they are just there really, to be honest. But it's a decent story when I look back on it, and when I wrote it, it's like, yeah, it's decent. It's pretty good. Yeah, it's kind of second album thing really, but it's, you start off in a town centre in the Lake District to a sort of sleepy English village, in the 2010s really. So what else can you do? I mean, that was written in 2017. That was that episode, well, that story really. Well, yeah, pretty good. It's pretty interesting. It's basically like this romp, of course, involving of course, alien races shooting each other, a lot of people in the crossfire, one after one main goal. Of course, that means the planet is doomed and whatever. So yeah, a pretty good action romp type style really, with some interesting bits and pieces included. Thank you guys for watching as always. See you for the next video. Goodbye.